Hi again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of RV Business Capitol Talk, sponsored by the Dicor Corporation. I'm Rick Kessler. With me, as always, Sherm Goldenberg. And joining us today is National RV Dealers Association President, Phil Ingrassia. Phil, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
As fortune would have it, right before we hit the record button, we received some preliminary numbers from statistical surveys that kind of bear out what most of us were thinking anyways, but it looks like the May numbers are a little bit down year over year. Granted, we're going up against by far and away the best year on record, but we're down a little bit.
You're talking retail sales.
Retail sales numbers, correct.
Right. Go ahead.
Right. Well, I think that anybody who's been following the market and some of the tea leaves out there won't be too surprised by that. What we're hearing from 20 groups is that unit volume's down somewhere between 20 and 30%, depending on the market. We do a monthly survey with Baird. The recent monthly surveys have borne out a market that is softening somewhat. But still, when we get right down to it, they're projecting about 480,000 units retailed for 2022 in North America, which still makes it one of the top years ever for RV retail. So I think we all knew this was coming. The month-to-month comps against 2021 in 2022 on the retail side were going to be very, very hard to match. And while it is it's a slowing market, it's still a good market.
Well, take it one more step in this market. What do you see as the main variables in those numbers? Where's the market pressure?
Well, I think that last year at this time there was a real shortage of towable units. The manufacturers did a good job of catching up. The shelves are restocking on the dealer level. Certainly the Baird survey on inventory comfort level bears that out on the towable side. We still have some work to do on motorized. But I think that, the big challenge for the industry moving forward here in the next few months is going to be balancing that retail demand with production so that we don't have overstocked dealers who are, struggling to move those units off while more units are coming in. So I think that, everybody needs to communicate a little bit better on where we are with retail, what's going on on the shipment front, so that we don't get into an overstocked situation, like frankly we saw in 2019, where dealers, basically destocked 50,000 units in 1 year. That kind of creates problems along the whole supply chain. And, it's our hope from the RVDA perspective that we can balance that retail demand with the production numbers.
This essentially is what you're hearing from your dealers, huh?
Absolutely. And certainly the monthly surveys are bearing that out, that particularly on the towable side, that inventories are vastly higher than they were a year ago.
The funny thing is, like you've been saying, we've all been saying, the retail demand, the market is softening, but it's still, any other year we'd be thrilled.
Right. And I think the manufacturers and dealers have done a great job of really expanding the customer base. When you think of all the different kind of products that are on dealers' lots right now, everything from teardrops, which were kind of a novelty item 10 years ago, all the way up to the more expensive motorhomes and fifth wheels. So there really is something for everybody. We have a much larger base of potential customers to work with. And, I think that's why we're still seeing very, very strong numbers after this kind of pandemic bubble that we were in the last 2 years.
But what about, looking forward to the industry's own schedule in the open house. And I realize, we're not quite there yet, and it's a little premature to ask you, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Well, what do you think? What's your guess as to how things are going to play out for the Elkhart RV Open House?
Well, I think it'll be very strong. We are really, this will be the first really pandemic-free sort of year that we've had for that meeting. And I know they did it last year sort of informally, but this year should be a very good opportunity for dealers and manufacturers to reconnect at the open house, see what's out there, see what's new. You guys follow this very, very closely. There's a lot of excitement with new products out there, both on the supplier side and the manufacturer side. Some of the new systems that are out there to power RVs, solar generators, electric generators, just new floor plans, things like that. So I think there's a lot of reason to go to open house like there is in every year. So I think it'll be a good turnout. Now, what the ordering is going to be like, I can't speculate on that, but I do think it will be a great opportunity to kind of reconnect.
The open house being in last week of September, and and it'll be interesting to all of us who are industry watchers to see where this goes. So then we pass the baton to your own show, the Con Expo, early November. You've had some meetings about it. You had told us before we got on the air here. And what do things look like on that?
Right. Well, we had some marching orders coming down from our board on strategically adjusting some of the scheduling at the convention to appeal to really all size dealers. It's no secret we've had a lot of consolidation over the last few months and years, and there's different size dealers. They have different needs. So a one size fits all convention probably isn't the most appropriate thing. So we're moving some stuff around. Certainly we will continue to emphasize continuing education and have some powerful keynote speakers like our keynoter Molly Fletcher, who will be doing some leadership and team building messaging in her keynote. We've got a focus on fixed operations. We're bringing in an expert, Sarah Hay, who's an expert on working on the fixed operations side, both on a marketing and efficiency level for planning in fixed ops. And that kind of dovetails in our repair event cycle time, priorities that the board is working on. We'll also have our annual lawyers panel, which changes every year because the complexities of dealing with lawsuits and things like that change every year. So that'll be another thing that we will have available for attendees. We're also doing some different things with the manufacturer dealer meetings, the partners in progress meetings. We are making a concerted effort to put those into the dealer GM track so that they have a higher profile at the convention. Those have become increasingly important to dealers and manufacturers to, again, improve the communications level about what's going on, not only in the marketplace, but with dealer and manufacturer policies and procedures that impact everything from the sales process to, again, repair event cycle time and the support after the sale.
Yeah.
We're also bringing in our vendor training plus into the bulk of the convention. So typically those vendor training pluses were, the vendor workshops were just the first part of the convention. They were kind of front loaded. This time we're going to have them both on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So they're going to be available throughout the convention for people to attend. And again, it's just a way to provide more options for dealers. Different size dealers are interested in different topics. And the Convention Expo Committee, which is chaired by Ryan Horsey of Parkview RV Center, is working really hard to have a very compelling program in 2022. And of course, we're all looking forward to the top 50 dealer reception, which we partner with you on to keep as part of that kind of Wednesday night event at the convention, which is kind of the centerpiece of the convention.
I appreciate that. Rick, you got a question?
Well, I was just going to mention, I believe we're back at Caesars, are we not?
That's right. Caesars Palace, November 7th through the 11th. Caesars has added some new restaurants, some new things for people to do right there on the Strip. And from all that we're hearing, that Las Vegas is pretty much back to full capacity, so there'll be a lot of things to do. We were still a little bit limited in 2021 as we just kind of surfed that wave between variants there of the pandemic, and we're able to hold the event. But we should be back in full throttle for 2022.
2021 was your last live in-person Con Expo?
Right. Last year we were at Paris. This year we're at Caesars, and then next year we'll be back at Paris. And I can tell you for 2022, the exhibit hall, I was told this week, is essentially sold out. So there's a lot of interest from vendors. We've got convention registration open for dealers. And I would just encourage people to bring as many people as they feel comfortable doing, because there is so much packed into the schedule. And with some of the changes, it is going to be impossible to see and do everything. So if you want to get the whole experience, and I would encourage people to bring some extra folks just to cover everything so that they get the full value of the convention.
One of the, and Phil, I don't even know if you know this yet, but one of the whole experience that we're providing is Sherm's making himself available for photos. He's got an Elvis jumpsuit.
Listen to this crap.
Excellent. Well, we can get a backdrop of the TCB band, and that'll be great. We'll love that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, what else, Rick, before we sign off, did you want to bring up with Phil?
Well, what we posted yesterday, I think if Phil might want to make a comment on that, but that's that the Federal Trade Commission is looking at some more oversight, I guess is the way to describe it, and that is going to have an impact on dealers if it goes through.
Yeah, right before the 4th of July weekend, the FTC dropped a news release and a 14-page proposed rule that would, significantly alter, or has the potential to significantly alter, some of the sales and financing, advertising, and processes that dealers use. We're still analyzing it, and we'll provide detailed comments to the FTC after we talk with members on the practical impact of these proposed rules. But as dealers know, truth in lending, truth in advertising, there's a lot of rules already on the books. And our first, review of this means it looks like it's a lot of stuff that's redundant to things that are already on the books. And the FTC certainly has broad oversight to stop deceptive sales practices or unfair advertising or unfair sales processes right now. The idea that they need to overlay that with a bunch more regulations for dealers to follow, we just don't agree with that, and we will be making that case to the FTC along with other vehicle groups. It's a very, very broad proposed rule, and it covers everything from autos to RVs to marine and power sports. I don't really understand what they're trying to get at. They're really not proving that there's this huge problem. Certainly, we don't want to see deceptive trade practices, but at first blush, this is a lot of overkill in our view.
And like you pointed out, right now it's still in the proposal stage. I think there's public comment going on, so that's where groups like yourself and others are stating your case.
Right, and at a time when everybody's trying to have a more smooth sales process, quicker transactions, this will just put a monkey wrench into a lot of those efforts if there's a lot more disclosures and a lot more things that the dealers have to do with customers on the back end of the sales process. So we'll be taking a very, very close look at this and providing appropriate comments back to the FTC.
Okay. Yeah. Sherm, anything?
No, I think we did. It was a pleasure chatting with you, Phil. And Rick, take us away.
All right. Yep. Phil, thank you. Elvis, thank you. We'll see
Well, I
you guys.
appreciate the
if not
opportunity.
soon.
I appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys, and we'll be in touch with the convention. So stay tuned.
Thank you.